Justin Logan.
What's up, man?
Welcome back, my friend. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been like a year at least.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time you were on, like what we discussed. I don't know if it was a movie or a show. I feel like we usually do the movies after we go see them, but I don't know when the last one was. Thor: Love and Thunder, maybe?
Yeah, I think that was the last one.
And I think we both rated it probably higher than we should have because I like going back, I think that was like one of the worst things I've seen in the
I think I gave it
MCU.
like a 6 out of 10, which is probably still too high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I gave it a 7, which
Mm.
is definitely too high. That's it's terrible. I can't sit through it. Like I tried to watch it when it was on Disney Plus, and
Yeah.
I got through like the gore stuff at the beginning, which is awesome, and then it was just like, all right, I'm done. That's
The
it.
worst part, dude, they wasted Christian Bale. Are you fucking
Yeah,
kidding me? You get one of
yeah,
those and they wasted it.
yep, yep. And he's one of those actors too, just like an actor's actor, like a real actor. And it's like
Mhm.
those guys already are like leery of doing superhero stuff. Like I heard
Yeah.
DiCaprio, um, he gave advice to Timothy Chalamet, and he was like, "Don't ever put a cape on." Like that's his number one rule. Like, do not do a superhero film.
Hmm.
Which kind of sucks for young actors because, like, a lot of young actors have done pretty damn well doing superhero stuff. But it's
Yeah.
like, then do you get stuck? Is it like all you can do once you do a superhero thing?
Unless you're Robert Downey Jr., you can do anything.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference with him. He's not an actor starting out. He was already established.
Yeah.
He definitely had acting skill. Like, it's just that he was too much damn trouble to deal with, and people didn't want to, and his life was falling apart. And like, but he's already like 50 years old, something
Yeah.
like that. When he starts being Iron Man, it's like, well, if this doesn't work out, I took a shot, whatever. Anyway, um, dude, X-Men are back, man. This seems like the year of the X-Men coming up.
So I'm not even gonna lie. I sit through the fucking theme every time. I don't
I do
skip.
too.
You
I
you
do
can't
too.
skip that.
No, no. And even though it's slightly updated, right? They updated the music a bit. Um, and you know what I love is that even though they added some new scenes and like character introductions and stuff, they kept so many of the same sequences, even though they completely redid the animation. They did the
Yeah.
exact same sequences. Like Wolverine's introduced the same way. Storm is, although it's a different character, like Cyclops, it's all the same introductions of the characters we know, but like it looks so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So
looks way better.
yeah,
Man, and they've changed just enough to keep me interested, but they left a lot of the corniness that you expect. They didn't change it
yeah,
to where it's a whole different show. It's just
right.
enough.
Yeah, it's like, but it's like, I don't know. The old corniness kind of like was all it was. It was like it was almost too much. Okay, so like you go back and you try to watch the old ones, and I know you said you were going to try to do that, and then you were just like, no, I'll just watch somebody talk about them,
Yeah.
like to get caught up. And I get that. I've definitely gone back through and rewatched them, and some of them are tough, man. Some of them are just like, there was like times when the animation got real weird in like the fifth season, and the, there's just times when I don't know, it seems real choppy, right? It goes from like scene to scene. This seems so much more fluid than the original series. Like everything flows like a nice story. Everything, it's like nothing was just thrown in and they didn't cut stuff out and like leave some stuff in so it doesn't quite fit. Like this is like very purposeful, strategic animation. It fucking looks great, dude. I think it looks great. Some people complain about the updated like look of it, but it's like, what do you want? You want pages? You want people drawing the pages and fucking flip
No,
booking it? Is that what you want?
they want 480p, 4:3 aspect ratio,
Right.
fucking
But like,
grainy. Like, no thanks.
what do you want? Like, I get like, I think they still kept so much of the look of the original series and the comics of that time, the '90s, and just gave it like modern animation. That's all it is. Like it. I think it just throws people off because it looks too smooth. It looks like What If.
Yeah.
I love that though. Like,
It should look like What If. I mean, that's what Marvel
yes,
animation side should look like. That's the key
yeah,
right there. That's probably one of the best things they've done.
yeah, and So going into this, after you saw like the trailer and stuff like that, and I know you just kind of binged the series in the last couple days, but like before that, I'm sure you saw the trailer. Like,
Mhm.
what were you thinking after you see the trailer? Like, you hear the voices. They're obviously 30 years older. Some of the people that are coming back, like
Yeah.
Rogue, kind of sounds like Grammy Rogue, like a grandma version of her.
Yeah.
Um, but what were you thinking before you watched any? Were you like super pumped for X-Men 97, or what
I
was going
mean,
on?
I was like, this could be interesting. I'll watch it when I get time. I wasn't too pumped.
Yeah.
When I finally made myself sit down, I'm like, okay, let's try one. I sit down and the
Mm.
fucking theme came on. I was like, oh god damn. And I'll tell you, by the end of the third episode, I'm like, I want 15 more seasons.
Dude, it's really that good. Like I wasn't expecting. I was just like, cool, man, nostalgia. This will be fun. Like we're gonna go back into the same, and just the idea of continuing the same storylines, like not pretending like the other thing didn't happen and just starting a new show, or trying to give you the feel of it but doing something completely different. I love that they kept all the story arcs intact. Like, oh, this was part of their history, even though it happened 30 years ago. And they're just picking right back up where they left off. That's awesome. Um, but they're doing so much different stuff. It's not like there was a storyline they needed to continue. The only difference is, or the only thing that's like they had to stick with, is Professor X is dead. You know,
Yeah.
where do we go from there? Everything else, though, they're doing storylines that they hadn't introduced yet or anything. Um, what do you think so far about just like the characterization, like the dialogue? Like, I feel like the dialogue's better than
Yeah.
it. Like, it's there's still some cheesy lines and stuff, but it still feels more modern. It feels more like,
Yeah. So I think okay, the two standouts to me is Magneto and
yeah,
Storm. Like those are both like
yeah,
the voice actors are just killing it.
yeah,
And
absolutely,
I don't know which episode it was, but Magneto took the judges up in the air and shit, gave them their whole
oh
speech. I was like, damn, dude, that was fucking
yeah.
good.
Doesn't it seem so much more epic? Like, it seems like, I don't know, the stakes seem higher. And I don't know if it's just like because the animation is more smooth, it feels, I don't know, not real, but it feels it's just more modern. If But the stakes always seem higher. You seem like you take it, maybe they're taking it even more seriously. It seems like they're writing maybe to an older audience, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a little less kiddish. And in fact, there's some jokes in there and stuff that are like pushing the envelope a little bit, which
Hmm.
the original series did not do. Like, Morph especially is dropping some lines.
Yeah. Yeah. And Morph is fucking awesome now too. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, he barely had personality. He was crazy for half of it. He was gone, and
Yeah.
now he's like, oh shit, he's everybody's
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. They got all these additions. Like, Bishop's like a member of the team now. Morph is like a full-fledged member and looks completely different. No one questions it. But I do like the
His
callbacks.
face
Like,
makes more sense like that though. Like he's just got
yeah.
default face. That's what a
Yes.
shapeshifter would probably look like.
Yeah. And I think the first time they introduced that was in Age of Apocalypse, which is one of my favorite things ever.
Mhm.
Is where Morph looked like that, like kind of nondescript, you know, pale face, bald head. And they've used him a lot like that in comics. But yeah, I was never really a big fan of the way that Morph looked. He kind of looked like a creeper, man. Like he
Yeah.
could be like a pedophile or something. Like he's
Yeah.
got a guy you'd see on a wanted poster type of guy.
Yeah.
Especially when he went full like emo, controlled by Sinister, and he had like
Oh
the
yeah,
dark circles
the
under his
deep
eyes.
bags, yeah.
Yeah, but I like that they called back to that in this episode. Like they showed his old face. That was
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, his
Um,
cameos are amazing. Like you get to see all the old characters.
yes,
It's so cool.
yeah. It's like you wouldn't. There would be no reason to have them in the episode, but it's great because Morph could just do it for no, like, as a joke. I
Mhm.
love that. Love that. Um, so yeah, I feel like the action is just so much better. And it's more violent, dude. There's blood.
Mhm.
I've seen blood in this, like, especially in this episode. There was all kinds of blood. I was like, what?
It did
Like,
get real
Jean got,
crazy because Wolverine's like the main character, but there was no
Right.
blood. He slices people, there's no blood. Like that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
I'm glad they just let go of that.
Right. Even in the films, right? Like, because they had to keep it PG-13, the
Yeah.
X-Men films, there was never any blood. He would like gut somebody and there'd be nothing. They would just die. But no, I like it. Someone gets hit in the face really hard, they bleed from their mouth. Like, I'm like, yes, this is awesome, dude. So it's definitely like a little more mature now. And I think it needed to be, because they're still targeting younger people, but I feel like at least it's probably an older audience, right? They're not targeting 6-year-olds here. They're targeting probably teenagers, maybe tweens, right? And then above. Because some of the dialogue and stuff is really for adults. They're for the original fans from the 90s. So but I like that they updated that and made it like to where it's aimed at the people that were fans of the original series. Like it's definitely for us. I love that. But it's still surprised me. Like I was pumped, and after I saw the trailer, I was pumped, but had no idea I would enjoy it this much. I thought it'd just be like pretty cool, or like What If, right? Like What If's fun, but it's like I'm really into this. Like I'm waiting for next week. Like I want to find out what they're gonna do next. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
the whole thing with go ahead. You're probably gonna get into the episode now.
I don't know.
I don't want to jump ahead of things. Plus, like since I just binged it, like everything mixed together for me.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't we do that then? Okay, so the end of the last episode, we had this second Jean Grey show up at the door, and a lot of fans already kind of know the storyline from the comic, or a version of it. You don't know what they're going to do with the TV show, but in the comics there was a clone of Jean Grey, and it was a whole storyline, and Cyclops had a baby with her. Very similar to this, but that's where we start out in this one, is like, who is this? Like Jean Grey that just showed up. So they've got her laid out on the table, and they're discussing what's going on, and they're reading her mind, or what we think is our Jean is reading her mind. And it's like, man, she's got all these fragmented memories and stuff, but they're all like similar things that Jean has gone through. But then there's this creepy lab, and Beast discovers that the lady that came to the door, the one that's laying on the table, is he like carbon dates them with their genes somehow, and finds out that the one on the table is actually older. She's the correct age. She's the real Jean Grey, and the clone is the one that's been living with them for who knows how long, and just had a baby with Cyclops. So
yeah, that was a good twist. Like
it's wild, dude.
Expect the other one is the clone, but now no, the original one is the clone.
Yes, yeah, and that seems like a more adult, like I wouldn't say adult, but like a more mature theme of like, of course, in a kid's version, yeah, of course, the one that showed up would be the clone, but like in this, we got to get real sci-fi. Oh, the clone's been living here the whole time. She didn't even know she was a clone. Like that's deep, man. I love that. So we find that out, and she's in disbelief, and then she's like, why don't you guys, why are you questioning me? I've been here with you this whole time, been through all these battles with you, and blah, blah. And even Cyclops is like, like he's like, damn,
it's kind
dude.
of fucked up how he gives her a cold shoulder, and it's like, but from her point of view, you just turned on her.
Yeah. You get both perspectives, man. You're like, if you were Scott, you'd be like, holy shit, what? I just had a baby with a clone. The real Jean doesn't, like, I don't know. You don't know when they got switched out. Like, I was assuming that they got switched out like way back. Because, okay, so let's say in the comic books, later in the comics, they went back and retconned the Phoenix story. Mm-hmm. And they made it so that the Jean Grey that we saw come back as the Phoenix was never Jean Grey. It was just the Phoenix. And Jean Grey's actual body, this is ridiculous, but Jean Grey's actual body was still underneath that lake. underneath that lake where she emerged from. Like when you saw like, oh, I am Phoenix, and she like comes up out of the lake, and they're like, oh my god, Jean, she's still alive. Um, from then on, had been not Jean Grey. So that's what I thought they were going to do here is like, oh, that's when they switched, maybe like when the Phoenix, and that I'm like, that's a long time. A lot of shit's happened since then. So, but it doesn't seem like they're not making that clear at all. They're like, we don't know when the switch happened. Interesting. It's interesting that they decided to do that, and that they left it up in the air. They didn't come up with a conclusion in the episode. Like, oh, they must have been switched out when this happened. So, where are we at here? Morph suggests that they call the one on the table Jean Doe before everything else. Okay, where am I at? They find out that the clones are that she's the clone. The one on the table is the real Jean, and real Jean runs off with baby Nathan, and she's in the nursery, and then shit gets really creepy. I was surprised how dark they took the episode. It felt like they were like verging on horror.
Yeah.
I always loved Sinister, dude. Like that was one of my favorite characters from the original animated series, because he looks so badass and scary. But Sinister starts talking to her through the baby monitor. Things are getting real creepy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm the one that created you, and you're under my power, and even if you don't want to do stuff, you're gonna do it because I made you. What's gonna happen?" And she's got her own little diamond going on, and he kind of, I wouldn't say he takes her over, but he like influences her to do the stuff, and basically she like, what's the word, like possesses the X Mansion, and like the whole thing becomes like a house of horrors, and every X-Man is like seeing their worst fears played out. One of which was Morph and Wolverine in the locker room. Now, I don't know if you've seen all the like shit online about like Morph and people like complaining that he's like they had him labeled as like what is it, like non-gendered or whatever, gender fluid or something, right? Of course, if anyone's gonna be gender fluid, it's gonna be the guy that can morph into anything, or the guy who can morph into anything, right?
Yeah, he can obviously Gumby his bits. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, it works. I don't care at all. That's fine explanation for me. I don't know. I think maybe there'd be an uproar if you made Wolverine gender fluid, or like something like that. But like the guy who really has no sex or gender, that's completely cool with me. That works. He's a mutant. I mean, what are you doing? So, but one of the things that they bring out in this, and I don't know if you caught this or not, because it was kind of subtle, but like Morph's joking around because Wolverine, or what he thinks is Wolverine, is in the shower, and like Morph comes up and transforms into Wolverine. He's got the claw, and he's like, "Oh, you need some help reaching the hard to reach spots or whatever." And the Wolverine thing that's there, illusion, says, always with the jokes, Morph. He's like, "You don't think I know? You don't think we all know?" Did you catch that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I guess insinuating that he's gay, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
that's what I took from that. Like,
yeah,
oh, like he's keeping a secret. Like, you don't think we've like, come on, dude. We know Morph. But so that was like kind of Morph's thing that he saw. Cyclops he's getting all these things like, about how he's Professor X's little stooge, and he's a loser. By the way, you mentioned the other day when you first started watching this that Cyclops is like cool now. What do you make of that, man?
It's just so weird. He fucking just landed on his own, and you're like, "There's no way Cyclops is gonna fucking splat." But he's like, "No, I'll just shoot the fucking ground," and
Yeah.
it was outrageous.
How
And then
cool
now
is
he's
the
like a little bit unhinged without the professor to ground him, so it's like he's got a little
Yeah.
bit of edge now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like he has some depth, man. Like he actually has a character that's not just like stick in the mud guy.
Hmm.
It's great, man, because that's as a comic book character, he's great like that. Like he's got all this internal stuff he's dealing with, like being a leader, but like wanting to have a kind of a life of his own, but he can't because he's got to focus on this team. You know, it's like a dad with a family. It's like, you know, who am I without heading this family or whatever, taking care of these kids or whatever? Who am I? And Scott like struggles with that. And then also he just had this baby and with a clone, and like what's he gonna do? Like how's he gonna protect this baby? And what about this gene that's on the table? Like there's a lot of shit going on in this dude's mind. You can't just have a flat character. So I'm glad they upgraded him and made him
He's in
like
there like, "Are you shitting me? Like I've got this baby, I got this wife, and now I got another wife. That's 2
yeah.
honeydew lists. What the hell?
Yeah.
I gotta run a team.
Yeah.
I got 2 lists."
Wait, is there another baby? So yeah, everyone's seeing their worst fears. Bishop sees what's her name from the future and makes him feel guilty about leaving the future behind or whatever. Um, Meanwhile, Bishop's been working on, or Beast has been working on a way for Bishop to get back to his own time as well. We should probably mention that because it comes into play later. Um, Gambit is seeing Magneto and Rogue like making out. He's already feeling really insecure with Magneto around. I love the line from Morph earlier when he's like checking the danger room, and he's like, "Oh, let's see who's got the danger room booked." And he's like, "Oh, it looks like Magneto and Rogue are gonna be in the danger room for the next day straight, working on Rogue's stamina with the new boss." It's like, whoa, that's some adult humor there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that was a pretty good one.
so Gambit sees that. Man, I don't remember all of them. Beast just sees a random big head with a tongue, and he's like, "I think I have the wrong floor." Like, I don't know. They just didn't have anything for Beast, so they're just like, "We'll just do this. We'll just put this goblin in the elevator."
They should have made it like he was in a zoo, like, as an exhibit. You'd think that'd be his
Yeah,
biggest fear is being seen as a beast.
yeah, that could be. Yeah, why didn't they do something like that? I don't know. It was just weird. It was like, we don't have anything for Beast. Just put a big tongue thing in the elevator. I think one of the creepiest though was what's his name? I keep wanting to say Eduardo. It's not. It's Roberto.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah, his
Roberto's
mom or
like,
whatever?
yeah, like comes out of the TV like the thing from the Ring,
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely
and then
stole it
like,
from the Ring.
oh, dude, but her face like it like opens up and his head comes out of her mouth. It was like, oh, dude, this is crazy. So, um, it's Jean, it's Sinister through Jean kind of doing this to all the X-Men, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Cyclops and Bishop end up battling these like flying demons in this like Dante's Inferno hell land. And but I do love that what something that they're doing in every episode, it seems like, is like the dual powers where they like uh you know, they used to do this in X-Men Legends, but you could like use your power with another person's power
Yeah.
and create some new thing. But I love that Bishop has him charge him up with the optic blast, and then he just blasts all the demons.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Uh, so then we get the clone Jean transforms into this all black, and I kind of feel like Jean gets all the alter egos. Like, why does she always get? She became the Black Queen. She became the Phoenix, and she becomes this Goblin Queen. that she
When you
announces
said
like
that, I was like, "Oh, yeah, there's the corniness." That's what it was.
the Goblin Queen. Well, as corny as it is, the comic books was the same way because that was literally her name in the comic book, the Goblin Queen. And honestly, when you're watching the show, it makes no sense. Like, there's no
There's no
goblins.
goblin.
What? Yeah. What is this?
Well,
What's the Goblin
maybe
Queen?
that thing that got off the elevator was a goblin. Maybe that
Yep. The only
had to
one.
be
She's its queen.
it.
So this is I guess this is an semi adaptation of the Inferno storyline from the comics. Like I haven't read it yet. I'm actually working my way through the X-Men, like the Uncanny X-Men comics from. I started with Giant Size X-Men, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm on issue like 160 or something like that of like 512. So
Bullshit.
but I haven't gotten to the Inferno storyline, but I guess it's pretty good. But it has a lot to do with this like Goblin Queen and this clone and all that jazz. So I don't know any of the ins and outs of it, so I'm just kind of going by what this TV show tells me. But let's see, where we at here? Everything's going nuts in the X Mansion, and then Real Jean shows up and like shuts the shit down. She's like, enough, and it all shuts down. And Clone Jean reveals herself as the Goblin Queen, and then she just dips. She takes off, disappears, and takes the baby with her. And so the X-Men are like reeling from this battle or haunting or whatever the hell it was, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And Morph is like, dude, I know all about Sinister. He's the worst piece of shit ever. And I know where he lives. So he leads them. That's the plan, is for him to lead them there. Then we catch up with Sinister and Goblin Queen. And Sinister's like putting baby Nathan into a vat of chemicals.
That scene was fucked up when he threw a baby into a fucking bucket. I didn't like that at all.
I was watching it with my daughter, and she was like, how can the baby breathe? I was like, I'm not sure it can. So apparently he's put him in there to like expose him to this techno-organic virus, hoping to make him like ultra powerful, like invincible at some point. And they battle the Goblin Queen again. She's pretty vicious, but like basically Jean saves the day. Do you find it odd that they keep leaving Wolverine behind?
Yeah, they keep doing that. I think they're purposely trying to make him not the main character to give other people.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like I am, because he was so much of a main character and focus before, and then he took the lead too much in the movies to where like he was the central character of all the movies, and like movies that didn't have him in it, like people didn't enjoy as much. So like automatically they go in like, oh, Wolverine's not in it. So, but. And then they would like work him in ways they didn't need to. Like they did that X-Men Apocalypse movie. They just are like, we'll throw in a Weapon X scene where he breaks out and then leaves. Like just to have a Wolverine scene in there. But yeah, they left Wolverine home to babysit Jean. He kind of brings her to her senses and like gets her to remember who she is, how to use her powers, and then she can intervene without actually being there in person. And then in the last episode, I think, is when they left him home with Jean again, and he had to take her to the hospital. He's like, oh, he's coming. Who? Apocalypse?
Well, technically, wasn't he left with the clone?
Yes. He was left with the clone. It wasn't actually. Okay. So eventually, the X-Men help, and they eventually break Sinister's hold on her. They get through to her, and I guess that's kind of it for that battle. Like she comes to her senses, and they get back, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Like this baby has this virus now, and Beast says there's no like modern tech that can. There's no modern medical tech that can help this baby. There's nothing we can do for this virus. But they think like maybe we can just send this newborn into the future,
Yeah.
and he could just grow up there, and then maybe they'll have a cure there. Maybe.
Yeah, like this is 1997. We're past measles, but this kid has fucking green rectangles. Are you kidding me? This is 1997.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? We'll set him to like fucking 2296, and we'll see what happens. So I don't. You probably know this, right? That baby is who grows up to be Cable, right?
Yeah.
And who still has the techno-organic virus, and it does actually contribute to like him being pretty powerful, but like, yeah, they never fully cure it though. So I don't know if it was worth it or not to send him to the future. He had I guess, it seems like he had a pretty hard life. Like, they sent him to a pretty horrible like existence. But Jean, so she decides that they'll use Bishop's tech, but they only have enough juice or whatever, which I don't know why they couldn't just come back with more juice from the future. Because they do at some point, like, like why would he just go get more juice that travel back again? But they only have enough to send the baby, just the baby. And so Jean and Cyclops have not Jean, fake Jean and Cyclops have a newborn baby, and now they just completely get out of the sleepless nights and the teething and all that shit, and they just send him to the future. So that's that. They send the baby off to the future, and then fake Jean kind of realizes, like, I'm like a ninth wheel here. I don't really need to be here at all. Like, there doesn't need to be two Jeans. And
how much better would the team be with two fucking Jeans?
That's true, and they're both like, they have the same powers and everything.
And in fact, the Sinister can just make mutants. Like, dude, you could make another fucking Apocalypse.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
I think that's the thing that makes Sinister so cool, though, is like he's like obsessed with like mutant genes and shit, and that's like his whole thing. His whole thing is like he's a genetic scientist, and then that's how he became who he is like combining all these mutant powers and genes to make him what he is and live for hundreds of years. I don't know. I just think he's a badass character, man. He's like a vampire looking dark lord. I love him. I've always wanted to see him live action. Hopefully we get that.
Mine's Omega Red. I want live action Omega Red.
Me too. He's another one that just looks scary. He looks scary as hell. All right, so she decides like there's really no place for her here. She's gonna go off and find a life like of her own. And as she's departing, she declares herself. She takes the name Madeline Pryor. I don't know where she came up with that name. That's a very specific name to come up with on a whim. Like, I've been thinking about this the last few hours. My name's gonna be Madeline Pryor. But yeah, so she's Madeline Pryor. She takes off. Everyone's happy though. Everyone's cool. I feel like the situation would have went a lot different in real life though. Like if you had this clone who were sure that they were the real one, I don't know. I think there'd be a little bit of a fight to be like, wait a minute, but let's figure out how long I've been here, because if I've been here like 9 years, maybe I should continue on, and the other Jean should get a new life. I don't know. I feel like there would be more to it than that.
Honestly, it solved another problem too. You could be like, hey, now Wolvie gets one. What the fuck?
Oh,
finally.
Missed opportunity.
He's just always alone.
Complete missed opportunity, dude. They should have just kept one for Wolverine. Yeah. So, what do you think, man? I think the episode just keep getting better. Like, it just keeps ramping up.
Yeah, I'm just so as awesome as Magneto is, I'm waiting for the turn. Like,
yeah,
he's not just doing what Professor X asked him to do. At some point, he's gonna say, "But Charles failed because Charles didn't see the truth," and he's gonna do. It's coming.
Yeah. I think, and I don't think it's like his intention right now. I don't think he's like trying to swindle anyone. I think that he's giving it a legit shot, but I think something's gonna happen. Like, really. something really bad, that like maybe reminds him of the Holocaust or something, like something that really digs deep, and he's just like, okay, there's no, I was right. This dude was wrong. We cannot coexist. So I think you're right. I think they might wait till like right at the end of the season though, to like build up for next season. Magneto makes a turn at the very end.
Guaranteed next season.
I'm pretty sure they already approved a second season. Oh, I wanted to bring this up. So I saw online that the next episode is called Motendo, and there's like speculation, I guess. It's probably pretty good speculation that it's going to be another Mojoverse episode, and it's going to be like heavily based in like video gaming from the 90s.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw like a still from it, and they had like the characters up there in like probably like 16-bit, form. It had all like the characters laid out like it was a menu screen, like you were gonna pick a character, and they looked very much like like you're playing Genesis or something. So, what do you think about that? Do you like do you remember the Mojo episodes?
Yeah,
at all?
I mean, he had a pretty cool design, like the spider leg body, like big
Yeah.
fat guy.
Yeah,
And his voice was crazy. I hope they have a crazy voice actor again.
yeah. That's another thing too. Is like I think all the new voice actors that they brought in are like great, man. Like the Cyclops, you said Magneto. They're all doing great, man. Like it doesn't. The old actors, I will say it's a little jarring at times because they definitely feel like they sound like older. Like Wolverine definitely sounds a little older. Rogue as well, but like, just believing them as like 20 somethings is kind of tough. But like these other actors are pretty damn good, and the Cyclops actor, like I said, he's doing pretty awesome, man. Like this, they finally made Cyclops pretty damn cool. Like I could see people being like, dude, Cyclops is my favorite, which in the 90s, dude, nobody's favorite was Cyclops. Nobody's. So hopefully that translates to live action too, man. That when they do it, I hope they do it right. I hope they give Cyclops some good storylines and don't focus solely on Wolverine. As much as I love Wolverine, he's my favorite character, but like we've had like 20 years of Wolverine. Like let's dive into some other stuff. I want a Nightcrawler that has like some depth, and I want some like I want them to bring in like Psylocke and Colossus and really like do the X-Men, man. I want the live action stuff to resemble this animated stuff. I know you want to see all the like very 90s like outfits and stuff. You want like all of them to be wearing their 90s gear. You want Gambit to have the head sock and like the pink.
Dude, the boys showed you it can be fucking outrageous and still work.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I know. And even with what they've done the MCU, they've just proved that you can do like traditional costumes. You can do it. People are okay with it now. Maybe not in 2000. Maybe it would have been silly in 2000. They had to give them those stupid black uniforms, but people are on board with it now, man. I think we can totally. Clearly, they came out with the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer and all that leaked stuff, and like, it's Wolverine, man, and he's in. It's not exact because it's got like arms on it, and he's not wearing his mask at least yet, but I think he will be at some point in that movie wearing that.
You think they put arms on his thing because while I'm sure he got in great shape, he's older now. You think he's not? He's definitely not like coming out of like the Weapon X program Wolverine.
Right. No, one thing that I heard that the reason he had like sleeves on when we saw him, and I don't know, maybe they'll edit that out in the movie. Like, but I guess Hugh Jackman had like melanoma, like skin cancer.
Oh shit.
He's like really susceptible to getting it again, right? Like, and so that was a thing. Like he was wearing the long sleeves because of that. So it's like, I don't know though. maybe in the outdoor scenes, but I feel like a lot of it's probably done on a soundstage, right? Like that. I don't think they're really in front of a giant. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe whatever. If it's shot on location, I totally get it. Also, I'm okay with it anyway. I don't know why I'm even
Yeah.
complaining because, like, who cares? Dude, they gave him a blue and yellow and black costume.
Yeah.
I should be
It-
completely fine with that, sleeves or no sleeves.
he's gonna have to wear that helmet at some point. Like,
Yeah, he will. And speaking of sleeves, what do you think about Magneto's new look?
it's super 90s. That's what I love about it. It's just over the top, ridiculous. Like, he's like, I'm gonna put
Giant
this big
M.
M so people know who the fuck I am. Like, everyone knows who you are. You're like famous
Yeah.
terrorist. Like, what the
Well, he
hell?
doesn't have the helmet on anymore, so he's got to have like the M. That's how you know. I think by the end of this season, we'll see that helmet again, though, like on it.
Yeah.
Maybe final episode, but like it's coming. I dig the new outfit. Honestly, I like his look without the helmet on most of the time and stuff. I've always liked that. Whenever they showed him like in normal clothes or whatever with his long white hair, but I gotta say I'm not a huge fan of the arm sleeves, like the socks on his arms that go all the way up to almost his shoulder, like it's up to his triceps, dude. They look like like those white gloves that like fancy women wear to balls. It's like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not really that much into the random glove sleeves, but other than that, I think he looks pretty damn cool. So overall, you're digging this series.
Yeah, man, it's a lot better than I thought. I
Yeah.
thought I would begrudgingly watch it so we could talk
Yeah.
about it, but like I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch next week for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's just on the list now.
Yeah. I'm actually excited about it. Like it's not like I would watch it anyway because I do this show and I watch all the MCU stuff, but like I'm genuinely pumped about it. I've watched these episodes a couple times. I make my kids watch them. I'm like, "Hey man, did you see the new X-Men?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "We got to watch it then." They're like, "Have you already seen it?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'll watch it again. It's fine." I'm rewatching cartoon episodes. That's pretty crazy. I do like too that it's each episode has been 32 minutes. That's 10 minutes longer than the ones we got as kids. A lot
Yeah.
more story you can pack in there when you don't have commercial breaks and like
Yeah,
pretty
10
damn
minutes of fucking squeeze its and like solar gack.
right. Super soakers. Yeah, man. So I'm pumped for next week. You're pumped for next week. Thanks for doing this, man. Thanks for coming on and chatting with me so late at night.
Hey, no problem. As long as I get my solid 5 hours, it's whatever.
You need to work on that, man.
Yeah, I know.
All right. We're getting too old to be getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep. It works in your 20s.
Yeah, I'll pay for it. I'll be paying this debt all week.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
All right, dude. Thanks a lot.
Yep. See ya.
Later, man.